storm section, we have seen 90+ mph winds. It is now midnight, so I'm expecting to see actually quite a few of these begin to drop off. This one not until midnight 30, but we can now see places like Rochester no longer included in a severe thunderstorm warning. Olmsted County as a whole looks like it's no longer in that warning. Maybe a sliver of it right there. However, it's more so now into Fillmore, Mower, Wabasha, Winona counties, and this one going for another 15 minutes with that considerable tag. I'm going to take a quick peek at what the National Weather Service might be saying. In the meantime, if we want to check out the Mason City live eye, we're seeing some of those low-hanging clouds. Almost looks wall-like. It's difficult to tell on the camera itself, but definitely something worth taking a peek at. Move the camera ever so slowly so we can see that this is the leading edge of the system that is coming our way. Let's see, gusted to be close to before the storm's coming out of the area. Sorry, I am just reading through, see what the National Weather Service has included in any of this new information coming our way. Basically, what I'm looking for is to see if they're saying things like, hey, we're seeing that these storms are starting to lose energy, or they're coming into a less favorable environment. Portions of the outflow dropping in from Minnesota. Okay, interesting. So the severe thunderstorm warning that is over Worth and Cerro Gordo County, which includes Mason City, it's actually, just disappeared, is for the outflow dropping in from Minnesota. Interesting. So generally those winds have been about 60 mph, which is why we saw 60 mph winds being the main threat there. Just some crazy looking clouds right now though in Mason City itself, which still hasn't necessarily seen much of the rain yet. We can see Mason City right there, not getting too much of the rain quite yet. I'll move over to a different way of looking at this. There we go. Zoom in right there. It's Mason City, and we can see just right at the leading edge. So I would say that the wind's probably going to start picking up here very shortly in Mason City, but the current severe thunderstorm warning the arrow is pointing at does not include the city of Mason City. It includes Algona, Clear Lake, Forest City, this one with the tornado possible, the considerable threat tag. In fact, the Mason City warning is actually for this storm further to the north. Let me point it out. It's actually for this little cluster here of breakage that have shown that they could produce severe winds of 60 mph. All right, let me zoom things back out. I'm happy to say we're probably about halfway done, halfway through the area, maybe even a little bit more as most of this activity starts to slip south of I-90. Now we just need some of this activity to make its way to the east of 35, but that is still quite worrisome because this is still a very strong section of the storm. But you see, it's kind of it's shrunk over the course of the last, there we go. As we move to a different radar site, it doesn't look like it shrank too much. So once again, what I mean by that is now we're using the Des Moines radar, so the radar coming out of the Des Moines National Weather Service office versus what we were looking at, the La Crosse National Weather Service. So we have different radar sites around, and you bounce between the two of them, and it gives you different readings because they're different distances away, different beam heights, simply just from where they're located. We know La Crosse, their location is just right up there on a bluff, and gets really good coverage because of just how far up into the atmosphere it sits. Meanwhile, in Des Moines, it's a little closer to the ground. Same with Minneapolis, and all different elevations within them. But long story short, they all pick up very good, important information, just like we can see the size of this bow storm as it continues to make its way. Now, Des Moines, not included in the severe thunderstorm. Now, we're still seeing quite the light show. You saw me look over this way. We've got our Rochester camera, just lightning flashing so much. Not surprised, because let me turn on the lightning and I'll let you see, hear the rumbles of thunder as well. Look at that lightning. It's going to take a minute. It's got to load up all the new data. This is over the last hour. So it's also another great indication of how strong some of these storms might be, and if they're going to keep staying strong as they head further to where they're propagating, where they're going. So we're losing some lightning. We're losing some lightning in this line here. We're also losing some shape, but we've been seeing that over the course of the last 30 minutes. Meanwhile, this stays very strong. This is still quite quite a big, strong lump, and Mason City are about to get that right quick soon. Let's take a look at your live eye and see how things are going. Honestly, it doesn't show much other than those flashes of lightning, the low-hanging clouds, the clouds just ready to come on in. But man, is there a lot of lightning. Let's see, what do I have dropped down to? Okay. So some news from National Weather Service in Des Moines. In the latest severe update for Worth, Kossuth, Cerro Gordo, and Winnebago County, we have dropped down to a 70-mile-per-hour tag, so that's from 80-mile-per-hour winds. Latest observed wind reports appear to be trending down somewhat. Hopefully good news. 70-mile-per-hour winds are still possible. That's really important to note. So some good news is we're no longer seeing 80-mile-per-hour winds with this storm right here, with the considerable tag. However, we're still seeing 70-mile-per-hour winds, which are still very destructive, still very dangerous. And the speed of winds that triggered the alarms, the sirens to go off here in Rochester about an hour ago. So that is when we jumped on just to say, hey, people need to know, why are these sirens going off? Not because of a tornado warning, but because of a severe thunderstorm warning with winds capable of bringing considerable damage. As we saw, the storms that were moving through southern Minnesota, through the Twin Cities, had reports of 70+ mile per hour, and still waiting for more reports as they've come from our area. We won't be getting those really in a comprehensive list until the event is long over, hopefully by tomorrow morning, which it is tomorrow morning. It is midnight 12:06 as we speak. So happy Tuesday, everyone. We're still here with you because these storms are still very dangerous and can be possibly very destructive. I'm focusing mainly on this storm moving through North Iowa because it has the strength right now versus what's moving through southern Minnesota. It seems to be losing it a little bit more. Still seeing considerable tags when it comes to these severe thunderstorm warnings though, which means considerable damage, considerable wind damage is still very possible, which is from, for a trained eye, something that I can see right here. This is still a very powerful leading edge of the storm. So Decorah is starting to feel some of that wind moving through right as we speak. So this is something to watch, and exactly why, the National Weather Service issued this warning here with the considerable tag. It was questionable, but this one going till 1 a.m. So we have a little less than an hour, but still a good chunk of time expected for Alamaki, Houston, Vernon counties, again until 1 a.m. and moving into Houston County kind of as we speak. So things moving out of Spring Valley, that's good news. Preston, you're still dealing with some of the rain, but hey, the strongest of the winds seem to be over at the time being. Still not going to give any all clears for this, not quite yet. Maybe for places like further to the north, Owatonna, you're more or less in the all clear right now. Rochester, you're close. Still seeing some light rain out there, not to mention all the lightning. There's so much lightning, very close, and not just in the leading edge of the storm either. This lightning can be found almost everywhere. I'll turn off that query there, but you can see a lot of lightning. And then we move to that storm that has me the most concerned right now, this one being part of the original bow that produced 90+ mile per hour wind speeds earlier on. Now starting to show signs of closer to 70 mile per hour winds. Those are still very destructive winds. So I'll take another peek at Mason City, seeing if the camera's getting bounced around or anything like that. Let's see, we're getting, so Cerro Gordo County emergency management, trees down in the city of Ventura, reported by city staff, power out to at least part of Clear Lake. So we are seeing power outages with this. I'm not necessarily surprised when you start to see wind gusts that are reaching 70+ miles per hour. It's not very good for our infrastructure. So thank you. Maddie handing me a cup of water. Thank you. You can hear it in my voice. Yes, I've been talking for quite a while. So give me a moment to take a sip. All right, that is feeling so much better, but okay. Back to some of these reported damages. Emergency management again, trees down in the city of Ventura, reported by city staff, power out to at least part of Clear Lake. So I'm not sure if, Cami, if you're still here, I think you are. Cool, if you can take a look to see if any power outages information, I can kind of share that with folks right now. I mean, if your power is out right now, you certainly know it, but let's see. This was back around midnight 03, so about 7 minutes ago, power lines down in several cities in Fillmore, sirens activated with the 70-mile-per-hour warned winds, so another city pushing out the sirens, not because of a tornado warning, but because of the destructive winds. It looks like Olmsted County emergency is shutting down. That is good news. Like I said, kind of moving out of Olmsted County as we speak. I'll zoom things out, turn off the lightning, and just show that, yeah, Olmsted County no longer in a severe warning. And we're seeing actually quite a few of our counties dropping from these severe warnings. And once it gets to a point where there's very few warnings left, I will toss it back to programming. But right now, simply because we're still seeing considerable threats, we're still seeing the strongest part of this system literally move through our North Iowa counties right now, it is a good idea to stay on, let you know what we're seeing, what I'm seeing, what's coming in from the National Weather Service. And as we can see, it is starting to lose its shape. Let's move back to the Des Moines camera. Somewhat starting to lose its shape. I definitely notice maybe a little bit more here as it's starting to interject with what's coming in from southern Minnesota. It's just kind of bashing it around a little bit more, and thus why Mason City not included in a severe thunderstorm warning that includes a considerable or destructive tag. The rest of this, let's see. Curious to know if these are still considerable. So this one no longer a considerable tag, still a nice leading edge, still strong winds, but we're talking more severe, normal severe thresholds, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible there for Boone, Hamilton, Webster County. And then a little bit further to the north, this one also, oh, okay. Well, I was going to say this one not showing that, but hey, we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning to talk about. If it wants to, let's do this. There we go. Okay. There we go. This one that's kind of shaped like a, got to find the sweet spot just so I can see what information comes from this one. It really does not like it. Okay. We were right there. There we go. All right. I'm not going to move it. All right. So for Butler, Cerro Gordo, Franklin, and Worth counties, this does include Clear Lake, Hampton, Mason City. So you're back in another warning. This one going until 1:30 a.m. So that is over an hour, which a lot of these have been for as fast as these storms have been moving. Let's see what kind of information we have here. So at 12:11, severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from 5 miles south of Keister to near Pilot Knob State Park to 4 miles southwest of Clear Lake State Park to Big Wall Lake, moving east at 45 miles per hour. So they gained a little bit of speed. The main hazard is 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-size hail. So dropping the considerable tag. Good news there. And going back to more of what a typical severe thunderstorm warning that we do see during this time of year is. Still dangerous, absolutely. But doesn't have the damage or the destructive, doesn't have the tornado tag, nothing like that. Just that typical severe thunderstorm warning, which is great news. Now we're still seeing considerable here for Howard, Mitchell, Mauer, Winneshiek counties. This one going until 12:30, which we will most likely stay on for, not to mention this one. Now, this also till 12:30. This will be interesting to see how they extend this one or if they choose to. I think that's what we just saw, that extension of it, taking off the tornado possible tag, the destructive tag, now to a considerable tag for Cerro Gordo, Hancock, Kossuth, and Winnebago counties. That's also good news. To take off destructive, move it to considerable. We still would like to see both of those threats get dropped, but here we stand. So I will be staying on just to continue to watch a lot of that activity. But it is a sign. Things are starting to slow down. Some good news there for all of us, especially those of you who may have been very nervous about coming into tonight. Hearing the word derecho, it's very scary considering how much damage, you know, we'll talk about the derecho back around 2020. Something, yeah, moving through Iowa. It's a scary term because it is a very scary a straight line wind event. And we had mentioned it throughout the day that there's likely that we would be seeing a derecho. And we're still seeing that possibility. However, things are definitely coming down. This was the main threat. This one, as it was moving through Sioux Falls, Sioux City, coming into northwest Iowa and southwest Minnesota, this was the main threat. And it remains still very strong, particularly right here as it's heading through Mason City. Let's take a peek at Mason City's live eye. It really, there's lots of lightning. There's plenty of lightning to be seen. Very, very nice light show going on there, which also is very dangerous and just tells you the friction in the storm. There's a lot going on. Let's see what Des Moines is saying. Okay, just updating on the fact that they put 60-mile-per-hour wind tag for the latest. Mason City included in that severe thunderstorm warning. I'm going to zoom in. What was that? So a camper, okay, some more damage being reported. This from Cerro Gordo County Emergency Management. Camper at a campground in Clear Lake has flipped over. Unknown if anyone is inside the camper at this time. So just some more damage being reported from these storms moving through. And that tells you, I mean, Clear Lake's not far from Mason City, so we know that there's still got a lot of power left in this storm. And you can see it when the light flashes, when the lightning comes through, you can definitely see. I'm going to point out the severe storm watch. You can see at the side of your screen. It has changed at this point, but it's they're starting to let up on the severe thunderstorm watch for our northernmost counties, no longer in that watch. So some good news there for sure. But we still have a couple of these severe thunderstorm warnings to go through to talk about with the considerable tag. Not to mention Mason City, you're just about to see all of this activity come through. It's fascinating to watch on the live eye for sure. For sure. So let me go back here. This is the storm that we are watching move through as we speak. Now, there we go. Showing off that, let's see, so hail size, there is still a possibility for hail. So many of us have seen some hail from these storms already, but the main threat was going to be the strong, severe winds, the destructive winds in that case. You know, if I'm going to use the term, I will use it. So there's still that possibility for some small hail. Haven't seen a lot of people reporting that over the course of the last hour. However, again, a lot of this information does tend to come after the storms have moved through, when people are in a safe location to send reports, not just to us, but to the National Weather Service. One way to get to the National Weather Service, though, is through us. So weather@KIMT.com. Send us your reports, your rain gauge reports. If you saw hail, the destruction after the storm has moved on, maybe you have a personal weather station that clocked an impressive wind gust, let us know. We'll pass that information to the National Weather Service, and then they can add it basically to the history books so that we can look back at this event and have all that information that you submitted, that you gave to them. And it also includes and can include pictures and videos. So once again, feel free to email those to us, or you can send it, you can submit them through our website, the KIMT.com. Send them our way. Not only could they make it on TV as we talk about, kind of round up this storm event as we come into daybreak tomorrow, into the rest of the shows for Tuesday. It's very helpful information for us, for the National Weather Service, and for you. Your story is told. But once again, if you're going to do any of that, please make sure that you are in a safe location. Most of this activity has simply moved on, and then you have a moment of respite. You can sit there and you can send that information. We always very much appreciate it whenever it is sent, however it's sent. Social media also is a great way. All right, I'm going to bring our attention back to southern Minnesota just for a quick moment. Right now, it does appear that there's just a few areas still left in this severe thunderstorm warning. This one going until 1 a.m. We get the information back up there for us. There we go. This no longer has the considerable tag. That is some good news. So probably going to let this one just continue to make its way into Wisconsin. Good news there. Meanwhile, the main event right here, at least for now, keeping the considerable tag for Cerro Gordo, Hancock, Winnebago, Worth counties. We mentioned some damage that had been reported in Clear Lake. That trailer had been flipped over. There had been some tree damage. I can see Cammie getting ready to share some information as well, so we'll be hearing from her very shortly. Thank you, Cammie. But this is a good sign. It is a good sign that we're no longer seeing the destructive tag or the tornado possible tag. And once that considerable tag is dropped, by the time we get 10 minutes from now into 12:30, then I will consider it safe to send it back to programming, but not necessarily safe to step outside. We still have severe thunderstorm warnings. As you can see, some new ones just being issued. Let's take a peek at what we see. Talking about considerable. That actually looks to be like the same one we were sitting on. There we go. Okay, no considerable tag for Chickasaw, Floyd, Howard, Mitchell counties. So Charles City, Cresco, New Hampton, Osage, all included. Nashua, Fredericksburg, you're all included in this as well. This one going until 1:30. And if I had to guess, the main threat's going to be 60-mile-per-hour winds. Yep, and penny-sized hail. So going back to the hail. So 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That is the typical severe thunderstorm warning, and does not have the considerable tag. So good news there. Cammie, do we have your mic in?
Yeah, we do.
Awesome, please.
Ready to rock and roll. You mentioned some power outages. We are dealing with many power outages throughout the region here tonight. Rochester, Austin, Albert Lee, and Mason City all dealing with power outages. But first, I wanted to show a photo that we received from a viewer. If we can take this picture here. This is actually really close to the TV station here in Rochester by KIMT News 3. This is near Assisi Heights. Just someone sending a picture of a shed that actually flipped over from those strong wind gusts that we saw just a half hour to an hour ago. A neighbor's shed flipped upside down, and it ended up 2 yards away, this viewer says. It was in the beginning of the thunderstorm. Thanks to Jay and Lisa Adams for sending this in. Looks like no one hurt in that, but just shows how strong some of this wind was. Again, this in Northwest Rochester, not too far from Assisi Heights. So a lot of people probably looking for their garbage cans in just a few hours. If they go outside tomorrow morning or something, there's probably a lot of items that may have blown a few yards away. And let's look at some of those power outages now. Right now, according to Rochester Public Utilities, 55 total outages are happening right now. You can see many of those exclamation points there throughout Rochester. Roughly 672 affected customers with these outages. 25 outages have been repaired so far. No timetable on when power will be restored to some of these affected customers. So hopefully phones were charged, or maybe some folks have generators, but if your phone is charged, you can tell your friends and family who maybe are impacted by this to stream us on our website, or we do have the stream going on our Facebook page. And if you are watching on Facebook right now, we appreciate you joining us. Let's move on now to Freeborn Mower County. Freeborn Mower Electric Cooperative reporting just more than 100 customers without power at this time. You can see this funky colored map here. Well, within that yellow area, which is covering much of Austin, roughly 50 customers in that square are without power right now. All the other squares are showing lower numbers. So we're really seeing only 100 plus, under 200 people in Mower and Freeborn counties at this point, according to Freeborn Mower Electric Cooperative. There are only those folks without power, but still a lot of people impacted, power out in many spots throughout our region. Let's move on to Iowa now. Western Iowa seeing a lot of power outages. 3,000 plus without power across the state of Iowa, actually across that Spencer Storm Lake area, specifically in Western Iowa there where it says 23, not far from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. You can see that area impacted drastically in Iowa. This is according to Alliant Energy. Now in the Mason City area, only 92 without power. That's according to Alliant Energy. There are many other little spots popping up, many outages in our area, and each one, no timeline on when power will be restored, but obviously utility crews working to get that power restored and working to make sure it's safe for them to be out there and restore power for many of these folks. So Sarah, a lot of people impacted by this storm. And again, we appreciate all our viewers who are watching us on Facebook or on the KIMT News 3 live stream, because that is an option if you are without power and can't get to a TV as these storms are coming through. I'll send it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cammie. Those are great updates, and yeah, just good to keep in mind. I've got a few updates myself. I'm going to talk if we want to show the Mason City live eye right now, because now Mason City's getting the brunt of it. We're talking some winds. It's difficult to see because our camera's so high up, and it's fastened, so it's not jiggling around like some of the other cameras, simply because of how high it is. But man, I mean, we're seeing the lightning, the flashing, the rain coming down hard right now in Mason City. Once again, also under a severe thunderstorm warning. Considerable threat still there until 12:30, and then we'll see how things develop as the system continues to move through. But man, the lightning, wild. All right, so going off of that, some updates. Let's see, so we've got one large tree down in South Rushford, as described by Rushford Fire. No additional reports. Let's see. Train spotter who reported numerous trees down in Fountain. What else do we have here? I was reading on some from Des Moines. Watching Mason City Airport. It was currently, at the time of this, which was 12:22, so 3 minutes ago, currently gusting to 45 miles per hour. So very strong gusts kind of moving through Mason City. Power lines down in Ventura, reported by Public Works. A second camper at the same campground is confirmed by fire department on scene. This is in Cerro Gordo. This is Clear Lake. The address is actually in Ventura Fire Department's response area. So that being said, campers just getting flipped over, as we saw earlier, from the shed that had been flipped over too. And let me tell you, those winds came in very, very fast. So Mason City are dealing with that right now. The lightning is absolutely off the chain here. It is going crazy. And I am not the least bit surprised here looking at this. It'll be interesting to watch this as a time lapse once the storm actually moves through. And once again, we're in a safe spot to do so. Yeah, just taking a peek at the lightning that's moving through. Severe thunderstorm warning, giving a moment. It's loading up all the latest data. As you can see, little lightning flashes loading up right over Mason City. There we go. I think we've got all the data in now, and I mean, goodness gracious. I believe I can get a reading on how much lightning. We'll just do a box. How about this box right here? And how many lightning strikes? 936 lightning strikes within this box I made. It's a big box. It covers quite a bit of North Iowa, southern Minnesota, and even further kind of closing in on the central Iowa there. It's a big box, but almost 1,000 lightning strikes. This storm is no joke. And it wasn't going to be a joke from the beginning, as we were talking about potential derecho. But I'm saying things have moving out of southern Minnesota quite nicely, heading into Wisconsin, losing some of its energy. Still strong storms, but not necessarily severe warmed. So that's why our main focus right now is going to be on North Iowa and this storm section that's really kept a lot of its strength. This thing coming in from South Dakota, moving through Sioux City, through Sioux Falls, heading into Iowa, and just continuing to make its way further and further to the east. And we saw, leaving, a wake of destruction, a lot of power outages reported, particularly across northern Iowa and in portions of southern Minnesota. So this thing is strong, and it remains very strong. We'll turn off the lightning again. As you can see, some of that silver area just indicating some of the heaviest of the rain, which we're seeing in Mason City right now. If we want to go back to the live eye in Mason City, again, I don't know if I need to put a warning on this, but it is flashing like wild. And that's one of the benefits of having a camera so high up. This one right over our Mason City studio. And on the antenna there on the tower, just way high up in the sky. So really kind of very close to all of that lightning that's taking place. And the rain that's coming down very hard across the area. The wind's blowing strong. It'll be interesting to see what kind of gusts we get. We already mentioned that 45-mile-per-hour gusts being reported at the Mason City Airport. We've got numerous campers flipped over, and Ventura Fire requesting aid from Clear Lake. Some campers are occupied, so that'll be interesting to learn more about. So yeah, I'll pass that on to our news department that lots of campers flipped over. Ventura Fire. This was, I believe, if I scroll back up here, at a campground in Clear Lake. Ventura Fire requesting mutual aid from Clear Lake to help. Some of these campers are occupied, so getting some information there as well. Let's see. Just trying to get some new information. Nope, we know that. Seeing if there's any new activity when it comes to some of these outages, to damages, etc. But right now this is moving through Mason City. Some of the heaviest of the rain moving in Mason City. So places like, let's see, Osage, Charles City, you'll be next, Rockford, Rockwell. Rockwell's getting the rain as we speak. Rockford, just kind of the very leading edge now. You probably just got the big wind gust, and now things are developing more into the rainfall. In Charles City, you could be getting the wind gust here too. I'm gonna pop open Charles City, take a peek at our live eye there. And see what we see. It looks so calm. The camera just coming from quite a distance, but it is definitely not calm. We are seeing the trees rocking around, blowing around. I know it's a little difficult to see. It's kind of stop and go, but we're also seeing plenty of the lightning off in the distance there. Let's see if I can move this camera as slowly as possible. This one's a little trickier. There we go, just tiny taps. See how Charles City is looking. Might just try to keep it to where it was. But we definitely can see evidence of the lightning going on in the distance. So Charles City, you are next. You're, like I said, facing some of those strong winds. We're seeing the trees rocking and rolling. Currently under a severe thunderstorm warning in Charles City. That one going until, we'll pop this on. It's until 1:30 a.m. So it's for an hour. We're a tiny bit less than an hour for this severe warned storm. So once this one expires, this one going until 1:30, I think our considerable tag has expired. I think that is some great news. Looks like none of them have the considerable tag anymore. I did mention that we were going to stay on until at least midnight 12:30 to watch how these storms were developing, but this is good news. So the storm that's currently moving over Mason City is still very strong, still plenty of lightning connected to it. However, we have lost the considerable tag, which means that wind speeds more akin to what they usually are for our normal severe thunderstorm warnings. Now I want to note that is still very dangerous. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts are once again no joke, but we're no longer seeing anything 70, 80, 90-mile-per-hour winds, which then have the destructive tag on them. So that being the case, may stay on just a little bit longer as we watch this exit Mason City, moving on to see if it continues to drop some of its strength. But right now, this is a great sign to see. There's still many of us who are being impacted by these strong storms, the heavy rain, the amazing amount of lightning, absolutely, and yes, the leading edge of these storms bringing in some very strong gusts. So I'm going to probably keep on just a little bit longer. When it comes to new severe thunderstorm warnings, you can see they've now extended far into Wisconsin. Definitely we don't need to cover that. Our friends in Wisconsin will do just that. We don't necessarily need to stay on until 1:30 in the morning either, as we have lost some of this energy, we have lost some of this strength. However, I am going to watch as it continues to move through Mason City and head towards Charles City just to make sure that it doesn't keep regaining strength, and just reading some information from the National Weather Service here, because there has been a notable amount of damage from power lines, trees, campers flipped over, sheds flipped over, as we saw here in Rochester. Cammie mentioned probably many trash cans way out and about. Let's see, Des Moines just posted recent trends. Okay, so recent trends, personal weather station observations and airport observations have trended down. Peak winds are now generally in the 40 to 50-mile-per-hour range, including near Hampton. Can't let our guard down completely, but trends are definitely going in the right direction. So I will probably stay on, let's see, it's about 34, maybe until about 40, and then I can toss things right back to programming. I'm, of course, going to be staying here in the Weather Center and keeping an eye on this in case anything new pops up, anything re-strengthens. We're going to be keeping a very close eye on that, so I'll be ready to let you know ASAP when something does happen. So right now. We're still just seeing the majority of this rain moving over Mason City and along 18. Manly, you're also dealing with the rain. Zooming in a bit more. Rockwell, you're dealing with rain, not the heaviest of it, but rain nonetheless. And Charles City getting the brunt of some of that wind right now. I'll take another peek at Charles City's camera. How is that looking? Yeah, difficult to see, but yeah, plenty of lightning for sure, and definitely seeing some of those clouds. But the wind kind of moving through as we speak. So Rockford, you also now almost dealing with some of the heaviest of the rain right now. It's moving quick though. It is moving quick. I'm not seeing any signs of flash flooding warnings, which is great news. We don't want to have to deal with that. Still plenty of rain to note, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of reports come from all of this, from the wind gusts to the damages, to the rain, to the hail. This system had almost everything, and earlier on, when it was first developing in South Dakota, confirmed tornadoes. I was watching as some of those tornadoes just formed right there in front of many chasers were out there watching a lot of that. South Dakota has been very active when it comes to thunderstorms. So probably going to give this about 5 more minutes before we do switch back on. Cami, do you have new information?
Yeah, I just wanted to pass along another power outage map. Some new numbers are coming in for the entire county of Olmsted County. I wanted to share with you. It looks like roughly we are dealing with about 4,000 customers without power right now in our region. If you can see right here on this map, so these are power outages in our area from these different energy electric companies. So People's Cooperative Services, you can see roughly 3,000 customers without power. Xcel Energy, 800 customers without power. Rochester Public Utilities, as I mentioned earlier, 650. Goodhue County Co-op Electric Association, 45. So we're dealing with a few more outages that we are looking at here. And at this time, there is no timetable for when power will be restored. Obviously, utility crews are working on that and working on finding the right time to get out and repair some of these issues that folks are dealing with. So again, many power outages throughout the region, 4,000 customers. That's quite a few customers without power, dealing with the storm and trying to understand if the storm is done or where it's at. So again, we thank you for following along on the KIMT News 3 stream on our website and also on our Facebook. We are streaming there. And Sarah, I'll send it back over to you. I know you're just working on a few more things as we hopefully wrap up for at least the time being.
Yeah, and it's looking like we're almost safe to do so. I wanted to show temperatures because with many of us losing power, one of the big concerns is, well, what about the AC if it's going to get really hot? Well, most of us have slipped back into the 60s. It's definitely more comfortable, not surprising, with the rain, but many of us remain in the 70s. Places like New Hampton, Charles City, but you're getting the dose of rain as we speak. So that's something to keep in mind. Places like Dodge Center, a bit of a warm spot there, Zumbrota, so we'll see if those temperatures do drop, and they're expected to. And highs tomorrow are only expected to be in the 70s. So we do have some more comfortable temperatures coming our way. I'll show a quick look at the next 7 days, just using our 7-day forecast just to give you an idea. Temperatures still near 80. We still see the chances for some spotty thunderstorms through our Tuesday morning. And then things continue to stay on the cooler side. Definitely below average as we head into the latter half of this week, into the weekend. So some good news there if you were concerned, unknown how long it's going to take to fix all these power outages, especially because we are still dealing with rain coming down in the area, not to mention strong winds and severe thunderstorms moving through. Small hail also very possible with all of this. So just wanted to let you know not much to have to worry about when it comes to the heat that we have experienced these last couple days. So I think I'm just going to do a quick update what's going on right now, what we're seeing right now. Cerro Gordo, Franklin, Butler counties, many other counties included in a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings until 1:30 in the morning. And when it comes to southern Minnesota, it looks like just Houston County left in that severe thunderstorm warning, this one until 1 a.m., so soon to go. But we are watching as these storms are weakening. Still plenty of rain. That's what we're seeing. The silver as it's moving out of Mason City and soon to be moving into Charles City. And not to mention severe winds, 60-mile-per-hour winds possible. However, we have dropped the considerable tag, the tornado possible tags, and the destructive tags. Some good news there. So I think with that all being said, we're going to keep our eyes on this storm as it continues to move to the east. We'll pop right back in if anything starts to show signs of re-strengthening. For the time being, though, definitely follow us on socials. We'll be handing updates mainly on our Facebook. A lot of these updates come out if a new severe thunderstorm warning, or in the case that we hope doesn't happen, a tornado warning is issued from the National Weather Service. So that being said, it is now 12:40. Midnight 40. We're 20 minutes away to 1 a.m. when many of these do start to expire. Keeping an eye on any development behind the systems, although most of it looks to stay on the isolated side. That's some good news, but as I said, we're watching this throughout the entirety of the night, and any changes come that could threaten you or your families, we will be right here to let you know. For the time being, stay safe out there and stay dry as well. We'll be here.